Hey everybody, it's Jonny Bowden, and today I want to give you 3 tips specifically to help you survive the pandemic, specifically to help you survive the stress of the pandemic. And as I've said almost from the very beginning, I'm only so worried about the virus. I'm very worried about the stress and the metabolic damage that will cause. So I want you guys to really pay attention to stress and to be able to manage that, because that's one of the most destructive things that's happening to all of us during this pandemic, even those who have escaped any exposure to the virus. We have not escaped exposure to the stress of disorientation, dislocation, disconnection, and we need to manage it. And these 3 tips are going to help you do that. So number 1, don't neglect your B vitamins. Now, you know, we've talked so much about vitamin C and vitamin D and selenium and all these great immune system boosters, but we forget that vitamin B, all the vitamin Bs, B5, B6, B12, all of them are necessary not only for mental functioning, but for motor functioning and for memory and for thinking and for brain health and all these things that we really need to muster if we're going to survive the stress of the pandemic. So, vitamin B5, for example, also known as pantothenic acid, is eaten up by stress. The body just goes through it like that, and you need to replenish it. Vitamin B6 is needed to create serotonin in the brain. You've all heard of serotonin, right? Everybody that takes an SSRI, an antidepressant, they're known as SSRIs, serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors. That's to keep serotonin in your brain longer. Why do we want serotonin to be hanging around in our brain longer? Because it helps to contribute to good mood, it helps to fight off depression, and it basically helps to make you feel good. So if you're not making serotonin, you're not feeling all that good, and you're also more likely to have cravings and all the rest of the stuff that goes with mood dysregulation. So vitamin B6, very important. Vitamin B12. You guys probably don't remember it, but in the old days, the Dr. Feelgoods, those people would go to the doctor to get a shot of B12 because they were so deficient that when they brought their stores of B12 up, they immediately felt better. Now, if you're not deficient in B12, a shot's not going to make you feel good, but there are a lot of people who are deficient in B12, and I use the word deficient to mean less than optimal. Not necessarily clinically deficient, but just you don't get the amount that you really need. And one of the reasons for that is vegetarianism. There's just not a lot of B12 there's no B12 in the plant kingdom, and please don't believe the propaganda that there is. There isn't. So if you are a vegan or a vegetarian, please, for God's sake, double up on your B12, because that's a very important supplement that you will need because you don't get it from plant foods. So for all these reasons, I recommend a high potency, really high quality B vitamin, a complex of all of them. You can take them separately. You can take extra pantothenic acid or extra B12 or extra B6. And in fact, I do that many times. But you take them apart from your B complex because the Bs need to work as a unit, as complete, and they all need each other. They're the ultimate community in the vitamin kingdom. So get a good B complex. I personally recommend and like and have used for 20 years B Supreme. It's made by Designs for Health. It's very hard to get in the store. You really need to go to a professional pharmacy like Wellevate. I'm going to tell you how to do that. You may be able to find it on Amazon. I never recommend that because they're usually counterfeit. So if you want to get the one I use, which is B Supreme, just go to wellevate.com/Jonny Bowden, no H in Johnny, and sign up for an account with the Wellevate Pharmacy under my clinical auspices, and you can get 10% off everything in the catalog, and you'll be getting the best brands available. So a B complex is a must. If you don't get B Supreme, find another one that's really reputable. Don't cut corners on it. You want the right dosages in the right forms, and that makes a big difference. Okay, number 2, you got to take care of your microbiome, your gut. Now, when I first started studying nutrition back in, in the early 90s, one of the first books that I was assigned was a book called The Second Brain. And what he talked about was that the gut has a direct line to your brain. In fact, most of the serotonin in your body is made in your gut. If you don't take care of your gut, everything falls apart, including your ability to manage stress, and in fact, your ability to manage life. We now know that the health of the gut, of the microbiome, which is all that bacteria that lives in your gut, the health of that is related to schizophrenia, it's related to depression, it's related to obesity, it's related to so many things. It's just like everything that they study has a connection to gut health. So take care of your gut, and I recommend a probiotic supplement to do that. Now, Probiotics are controversial. There was recently a piece on 60 Minutes where they basically said, oh, we can't recommend probiotics because we just don't know what works for what people. There's some truth to that. Here's my feeling about probiotics. We know that they're important. We know that we need them. We know we need them to help fight off the bad bacteria in our gut, to help maintain good gut ecology. What we don't know for sure is which strains are going to be most effective for which people. And we will know that. Within 5 years, they'll be assigning lactobacillus this for this condition in this amount. We don't know that yet. But I don't take from that fact the conclusion that we shouldn't use them. I think we should use them anyway. And we should use the ones that are most recommended and seem to have the best benefit and take our chances, because we know they're going to be good. They're going to get better as we get better at prescribing which strains work for which, but we should replenish our gut with the good bacteria that help keep our gut balanced and therefore our second brain working well, and that will help manage stress enormously. Now, the one that I use is by innate response, and it's called Flora 5014 Clinical Strength, and here's why I use it. One of my mentors and one of the people I respect the most in the health space is Dr. David Perlmutter. Please look him up. If you don't know him, he wrote Grain Brain and many other wonderful books. And he has an article online, which is easily available, on the 5 most important strains of probiotics to get in a probiotic supplement. And the one by innate response contains all of those 5. In addition, it contains the one that seems to have the most connection to mental health, to have the most connection to the emotions and to the management of things like stress, and that is Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and that's in that same formula that I just showed you. That also is available on the Well of 8 pharmacy. If you decide not to buy it and to buy another brand, please get all of the strains that are mentioned in David Perlmutter's article, which is again available online, and make sure that it also has Lactobacillus rhamnosus. And the third thing is really close to my heart because I know about this from the psychology literature. And it is expressive writing. Now, there have been some really dramatic studies on post-traumatic stress disorder. People who have been at horrible events like the shooting in Las Vegas or some mass, some disaster, shootings are very commonly studied. And they always have grief counselors, right? And they want to talk about it right away, and everybody wants to talk about it. Well, it turns out talking about it right away is not always such a great idea. You know what turns out to be a great idea? Writing about it. And they find that sometimes when people talk about a very powerful experience too early, they kind of solidify it in their brains, and then they always remember it that way, and there's no room for kind of shading or nuance or rethinking the whole thing. So I urge people, don't talk about this stuff too fast, but write about it. Take a day. No one will ever read it. That's a condition. It's got to be expressive writing, and you're kind of writing to yourself. And it can't be talking, it can't be, the act of writing actually has neurological and psychiatric implications that are different than if you just talk about something. And when you actually write your thoughts out, you relate to those thoughts in a slightly different way. And people report that they are far better able to manage trauma and stress and anxiety and all those things when they write about them. It doesn't have to be long, just something in your journal or something on a piece of paper. You can throw it away, it doesn't matter. It's the act of writing about it, expressing what you're feeling, going through the stresses that you're feeling. What is the worst thing that could happen? What is the best thing that could happen? Try out some different scenarios, but try actually putting it on paper, preferably with a pen and pencil, because that seems to lock it in better than typing it. And this is a really powerful intervention that you can do. I'll give you a small example of this. I've been in the same relationship for going on 11 years, going on forever. And I don't know, a few years ago, I was doing what everybody does in a relationship at some point, like, stamping my foot and saying, this is terrible, we can't get along about blah, 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 blah. And I decided to write it down. I decided to kind of make a pro and con list. If Michelle's listening to this, she will die because she doesn't know about it. But it was very effective, and I'll tell you why. I took all the things I was mad about, and I put them down. I made a list. Here's the stuff that I don't like. Here's the stuff that I do like. And once I actually wrote it down, there was like 1 or 2 minor stupid things that on the don't like list, and all these wonderful, loving, incredible things on the plus list. And it completely changed how I saw the arguments I was going through with Michelle at the time. It just completely changed it. And it changed it in a way that talking about it would not have, and thinking about it would not have, and texting about it would not have. But writing it down and actually taking the time to write your thoughts, to think your thoughts, to feel your thoughts, and to express them on paper actually made an enormous difference. It made an enormous difference to me in my life at that time. I continue to use that. That's why so many people use journaling as a tool. It really is just a wonderful, wonderful methodology, not only for managing stress, but for clarifying your feelings about lots of things. So 3 things. Make sure you're taking a really good, high-potency B complex. Make sure you're taking probiotics. Again, I recommend the Innate Response brand. And number 3, try some expressive writing. Those are some tools that may really help you get through these times, and we can use all the help that we can get right now. I hope this helps you. If it does, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, send me your questions. I'll see you on the next video.